Howdy, howdy, GQ radio audience and Go with Grace listeners. My name is Joe, and I'm coming to you live from the GQ radio studio for the first time in 2020. Seems like it's been a year since I've seen you guys. All right, so I want to welcome to our show. Today we're going to talk about the law of the ladder, which says character growth determines the height of your personal growth. And a couple of things I want to cover before we get into the content today. I know some of you tuned in to our house party we had here on New Year's evening, and I did a watch party that was a disaster. So I didn't get a chance to come on and thank you guys, but to my friends and family who logged on to my watch party, I thank you. And if you stayed around to the end, you got to see some really ugly chants at freestyling or rapping or whatever they called it. They challenged me to do. I stepped up and did a terrible job. So I don't really see myself as an entertainer, but I know that I have a message to bring to you each week, and that's why I took this opportunity to do this show. And I see myself more as a writer and an inspirer than an entertainer, but I don't step down from a challenge, and I fail at something or don't do well, I like to keep trying. So what I'm going to do, I wrote a poem slash rap, so I'm going to try to rap it. I tried to find some music to go with the background of it, but I figured that would mess it up. So here we go. Here is my rap for 2020 for my Go with Grace listeners. The New Year's season can bring us hope, a chance to relax, reflect, and refuse to mope. Be filled with God's joy down deep in your heart, and for great purpose in 2020, be ready to start. I'm with you as comrade, coach, and guide on your spiritual journey to walk alongside. May you experience meaningful transformation and lay hold of each and every aspiration. May you and your family be blessed beyond measure, united together in each day treasure. You may be experiencing hard times and grief. I pray for God's comfort and that link to be brief. In every circumstance, may you be bolstered, encouraged daily, and have your soul stirred. Healing and release exists in humor. Of this may you be a great consumer. A new year is here, so our minds have turned to what time has taught us, to what we have learned. We often focus all our action and thought on shiny things we have shopped and bought. We take our pleasure in material things, forgetting the pleasure that friendship brings. If much of our stuff just vanished today, we'd see the foundation of each happy day. It's special relationships, constant and true. Now is the time for the badass you. A mentor, guide, a coach, a friend, required for the climb to transcend. This is the year we'll rock it out, murder mediocrity and delete all doubt. Get on board and go with grace, kickstart your life with a new pace. A life with purpose and meaning. Upon grace, we do all the leaning. Upon God, we do all the leaning. So make 2020 the best year ever and find success in all that we endeavor. Boom, mic drop. Hope you guys like that. I'll take a quick break for a song and get right back to you guys.
Hey, let me grab my guitar and get in the car. Go pick up my cousins. Pick up my cousin on the bass. Give me the bass. Got my cousin on the drums. Go pick up cribs. Come on, let's ride. We ride. Some people are looking for the fountain of youth. In others
right, everybody. Welcome back. That was Robert Randolph and the Family Band. Check him out on your favorite music platform. He's a great guy. He's a little bit of blues and faith and family, and has great music. All right, so let's have a little bit of jokes for the new year. Do you guys even know what a New Year's revolution is? New Year's resolution is? A New Year's resolution is something that goes in one year and out the other. I'm going to read some of these again. My wife says, don't do these ones. That's not funny, but I like corny jokes. Some of these are funny and some of them are corny. So, my New Year's resolution is to build a Velcro wall, and I'm going to stick to it. My New Year's resolution for 2020 took me a while to focus on it, but I finally got it. Clear vision. So now that we're in 2020, I know as well as you've seen all kinds of stuff on social media about I don't have 2020 vision. Well, now that we're actually in 2020, we're going to wear out that 2020 vision. But we do need to be people of vision, so I encourage you to do that. So, speaking of vision, I spent the last at least 2 weeks, maybe more, doing something I've done before but never done to this great degree is to review my year, do a year in review. So one of my mentors, John Maxwell, encourages us to do a year in review, and so I used some of his material and looked through my calendar, basically looked through my calendar, looked through all my emails and photos, stuff I've screenshotted over the last year, 2019, and kind of wrote down what my highlights were, but I also looked at what my failures were. And it was really encouraging and also enlightening and eye-opening to say the least. So here's a pile of some of the stuff I've been working on. I'm still working on doing a vision board. I'll share with you guys later some of the stuff I have on it, but I'm doing a digital format. Some people do a poster, or some of them do it digitally so they can have it on their phone or their computer, but I'm still working on mine, according to what my core values are, some quotes, some things I want to see come in alignment in the next year. So one of the other things I did was there's a woman, JeannieAllen.com. She has a website. I just happened to see email somewhere, but I subscribed to it and got her year interview thing. And a little different take that she had was to do a pie chart. So this is what it is here. This is my pie chart. It basically has a 2019 and 2020. It was just a circle, and so my task was from her to basically pie chart out all the things on my calendar from the last year. You know, people say that you can tell a person's value by looking at their bank account and their calendar, and what they spend their time doing is their real value. Is really what they say they are and what they really are. And today we're talking a lot about that in the law of the ladder, because the idea is that character matters more than our performance, and that character growth and personal growth is an inside-out job. In other words, you have to be true to yourself. You have to be what's on the inside is what matters. The Bible talks about that over and over again, about your heart, and out of your heart speaks the abundance of your heart. And so, what you say comes out of your heart, not the other way around. We're not defined by our behavior, but our heart determines our behavior, and what we think about determines our behavior. So, looking back at your year can help you in your personal growth by looking at what things did I have, what were my big successes, and what were my failures. So, to be quite transparent, I had a lot of failures last year. Some I won't go into detail about because they're very personal, but my biggest one is I've always been a procrastinator, and one of the biggest areas I procrastinated for over 3 years is getting my military ed done for my next promotion. And I don't have any good reasons. I can make excuses, but that's what they all are. They're excuses. I procrastinated for lots of different reasons. And so that was one of my big failures for 2019, which was started all the way back in 2016, but I redetermined and set myself a new plan by planning out my day. Instead of letting life happen to me, I'm planning my life, and so that I can have a better plan. So I hope that you'll take some of that today and do that in your own life. So again, this pie chart, if you'll see here, I wrote down procrastination. A lot of my procrastination was just saying F it. I wasn't going to do the hard work, so I would be lazy or watch TV. So I put on here that I procrastinated and watched TV a lot more than I should have. Probably 25 to 30% of my time was wasted watching TV and procrastinating. So other thing was my work, my army responsibilities, my family. What else is on here? Overeating. How many of you guys overate last year? I fluctuate in and out. So what I did too, as far as last year, my calendar was track my weight on a weekly basis because I fluctuate between losing weight and being on track with my fitness goals, and then procrastinating or fooling myself that I could eat like hell for a couple of days and it wouldn't affect me, and I could wait till drill weekend to start, or waiting till drill to start working on getting back into shape so my uniform would fit. And so I was telling my army buddies at different times throughout the year, my zippers were screaming on my army uniform because, again, I procrastinated and it reflected in my weight because I think I started off like a pound different. I started off the year at like 220, 224, 225, and ended up the year at like 221. But I had gotten down to almost 200 at different times in the year 2019. But again, like I said, I procrastinated and wasn't consistent. So that was one of my goals, is to get rid of overeating, get back on track with lifestyle eating and not dieting, but just making better choices. And one of the ways I do that is by intermittent fasting and saying I don't eat after 6 o'clock. So I've started doing that since the first of the year, and I've already lost a couple of pounds. I'm already down to 215, so that's pretty good. Some other things on here: my church, a weekly men's group I go to, and again, I mentioned my exercise was inconsistent, so I lost weight continually and gained weight. And so then the bottom part is 2020. So instead of 2019 looking back and saying, here's what happened in my life, because I didn't plan very well, I look ahead to 2020 and plan my schedule and plan how I want my life to do. So I wrote in the side column over here, my day. So I restructure my day to have time to exercise, to meditate, to read God's word, and exercise in the morning. So I'm going to get up 2 hours early, and then I counted for a 10-hour work day, and then some time in the afternoon and evenings to work on other goals, and then to hit the sack on time, because that's one of the other areas I really failed in last year, was having a decent bedtime. It goes back to watching TV and procrastinating. I ended up staying up late till midnight or 1 o'clock watching TV rather than being disciplined about going to bed on time and getting up. So those two really don't go well together, with trying to stay up late, procrastinating, watching TV, and getting out of bed on time in the morning, ready to face the day. So it's my thoughts on planning so far. Let's take a quick break and play another song, and then we'll talk some more about having a great 2020. We want to put Stevie Ray Vaughan on here somewhere. I think I did. No, I don't need Christmas music. Texas flood. You guys liking this Stevie Ray Vaughan? Having a little bit of technical difficulty here at the radio station, checking it out. 1 2 1 2. Let's go. It's working now.
Lord, I'm going back home to stay. Well, I'm leaving you, baby. Lord, I'm going back home to stay.
All right, all right. So we had to close down one of our apps and restart it. So we're good to go now. So I want to share with you guys now. Let's do our Medal of Honor minute today, which comes from World War I and Port Arthur, Texas. Today we're looking at Lucien Adams, born October 22nd, 1922. He was a U.S. Army soldier during World War II who received the Medal of Honor for single-handedly destroying enemy machine gun emplacements to reestablish supply lines to U.S. Army companies. He also received the Bronze Star and Purple Heart for his heroic actions in Italy. Adams was born October 22nd, 1922 in Port Arthur, Texas, as one of 12 children in a large Mexican-American family. In the summer of 1944, the 3rd Infantry Division landed near Saint-Tropez in the south of France and began advancing into central France. By late October, Adams' company was near the town of Saint-Die in the Mortagne Forest, moving down a country road to open a supply line to the 2 assault companies of his battalion that were cut off by the Germans. When stopped by heavy enemy fire, Adams was sent forward to scout the German position and reported 3 enemy machine gun nests to his company commander. He was then told, "You go out there and make a breakthrough to get those GIs." Carrying a borrowed Browning automatic rifle, Adams began walking with his men down the road, which was heavily wooded on both sides. They had advanced just 10 yards before the German machine guns opened fire, killing 3 men immediately and wounding 6 others. The rest of the men except Adams took cover. Adams pressed forward, moving from tree to tree, straight through enemy fire to kill the first gunner with a grenade. When another German popped up from a foxhole a few yards away, Adams killed him with fire from the BAR. Charging into the fire of the second machine gun, he killed its gunner and another grenade and forced its 2 supporting infantrymen to surrender. He then ran deeper into the woods, killing 5 more Germans. Then he began taking fire from the 3rd machine gun, who missed his mark. Adams didn't. He killed the gunner, and by the time Adams finished his one-man rampage, he had cleared the woods of enemy soldiers. Adams' men began calling him the Tornado from Texas. After the action, Adams was told by the messenger that he was recommended for the Medal of Honor. Since he had heard the same thing in Anzio, Italy, when he single-handedly destroyed a German machine gun post, he didn't pay much attention and continued on with his unit, fighting their way into Germany. In the spring of 1945, Adams received orders to go home to be awarded the Medal of Honor by President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Before he left, however, President Roosevelt died. So he was presented the award in Germany. So here is his citation for Medal of Honor while serving with the 30th Infantry, 3rd Infantry Division in France. Sergeant Adams' company was attempting to open supply lines. He single-handedly eliminated the enemy positions. His citation reads as following: "For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at risk of life above and beyond the call of duty on 28 October 1944 near Saint-Die, France. And his company was stopped in its effort to drive through the Mortagne Forest to reopen the supply line to the isolated 3rd Battalion. Staff Sergeant Adams braved the concentrated fire of machine guns in a lone assault on a force of German troops. Although his company had progressed less than 10 yards and had lost 3 killed and 6 wounded, Staff Sergeant Adams charged forward, dodging from tree to tree, firing a Bardo BAR from the hip. Despite intense machine gun fire, which the enemy directed at him, and rifle grenades which struck the trees over his head, showering him with broken twigs and branches, Staff Sergeant Adams made his way to within 10 yards of the closest machine gun and killed the gunner with a hand grenade. An enemy soldier threw hand grenades at him from a position only 10 yards distant. However, Staff Sergeant Adams dispatched him with a single burst of the BAR rifle. Charging into the vortex of the enemy fire, he killed another machine gunner at 15 yards with a hand grenade and forced the surrender of the 2 supporting infantrymen. Although the remainder of the German group concentrated the full force of its automatic weapons fire in the desperate effort to knock him out, he proceeded through the woods to find and exterminate 5 more of the enemy. Finally, with the 3rd German machine gun opened up on him at a range of 20 yards, Staff Sergeant Adams killed the gunner with the BAR rifle. In the course of the action, he personally killed 9 Germans, eliminated 3 enemy machine guns, vanquished a specialized force which was armed with automatic weapons and grenade launchers, cleared the woods of hostile enemy elements, and reopened the severed supply lines to the assault companies of his battalion. So today we salute Lucian Adams. God bless you and your family and your service to our great nation. Let's hear another Stevie Ray Vaughan song, Life by the Drop.
Hello there, my old friend. Not so long ago, Mr. Red. We played outside in the pouring rain.
All right, that's not Stevie Ray Vaughan. Scratch that one. That's a better song, Pride and Joy.
Where you've heard about love and giving sight to the blind. My baby loving cause the sun to shine. And she my sweet little thing. She my pride and joy. She my sweet little baby. I'm a little lover boy. Yeah, I love my baby, the heart and the soul. Love like eyes that won't never grow. She my sweet little thing. She my pride and joy. She my sweet little baby. I'm a little lover boy. Yeah, I love Madalena. She's long and lean. You mess with her, you see a man get mean. She's my sweet little thing. She my pride and joy. She my sweet little baby. I'm a little lover boy. have time. She's my sweet little thing. She's my pride and joy. She's my sweet little baby. I'm a little lover boy. God love my baby, my heart and soul. Love like ice, I won't never grow. She's my sweet little thing. She's my pride and joy. She's my sweet little baby. I'm a little lover boy.
All right, everybody. So, tell a quick little story about the holidays and Christmas lights at our house. Background noise off. So, at our house, we moved in a new house about a year and a half ago. So last year was my first Christmas putting lights on the tree on our house, and we have a one-story house, but really high peak, so they're really hard to get to. And I didn't want to spend the money to pay someone to put Christmas lights on our house. So in hindsight, what I should have done was get a better extension ladder. But the point of the story is that you got to have a good ladder and you got to have a good foundation. So last year and this year, I used the same extension ladder, and to get to the high points, I had the ladder as stable as I could get it, as far up as I could get it to the peaks, and still was really sketchy and scared and almost said cuss words, but I didn't. But I got really mad and was yelling at the lights. So I was a really classy moment. Even with the little wand you extend to attach the lights to the house, I had to use that. I was like hanging off the side and not even being safe, but I got it done. So it's important that we have a good foundation. And funny story, it was a booger to get all the lights on our house and worked out all right, but getting them down was a lot easier. I didn't even have to use a ladder, so I just got on one end and untaped where I had taped it to make sure it didn't fall, and yanked them, and they just all came off the house. That was the quickest amount of time I've ever spent pulling lights off a house. So I just told that story just to highlight again the fact that we're talking about the law of the ladder, and that people often focus on their professional capacity without developing their character and having a good foundation. It almost always costs them in the end. It costs them their personal relationships and often their career. It's like climbing a long extension ladder that lacks the proper support. The higher a person climbs, the more wobbly and unstable it can become, until the person climbing it finally falls. Retired General Norman Schwarzkopf asserted the following: 99% of leadership failures are failures of character. So 99% of all other failures are the same way. Most people focus too much on competence and too little on character. How often does a person miss a deadline because he didn't follow through when he should have? I know I sure have. How many times do people get lower grades on tests that they could have because they didn't study when they needed to or what they said they were going to do? How frequently do people fail time after time to read helpful books, but because they chose to spend their time and money on something else that was much less worthwhile? All of those shortcomings are the result of a lack of character, not capacity. Character growth determines the height of your personal growth. That is the law of the ladder. More than 2,500 years ago, Solomon wrote the book of Proverbs, and he noted in there several times that as we think in our hearts, so we become. And lots of other wisdom literature says that. You can find all kinds of books on your heart and what your thinking goes, where your thinking goes, your actions go. I even have it in my my vision board, it says about that. What does it say? Where your thoughts go, your energy flows. That's right. So, if you neglect your heart, mind, and soul, it changes who you are on the outside as well as on the inside. If you don't do the things you need to do when you need to do them, then someday, if you will do the things you need to do when you need to do them, then someday you can do the things you want to do when you want to do them. In other words, you give yourself the freedom to do what you want by disciplining yourself and having character on the inside when the choices are harder. Every day there is a battle from the outside of me to compromise or surrender. Regretfully, there have been times when I've surrendered and not done what I was supposed to do. And like I said from my review of last year, unfortunately, I can say I did that a large majority of last year and didn't make the right choices and surrendered to laziness and procrastination. Doug Firebaugh, author and multi-level marketing expert, says winning in life is more than just money. It's about winning on the inside and knowing that you have played the game of life with all you had and then some. If you want to be successful, you must prioritize building your inside ahead of your outside. So we have to have character, and one of the biggest ways we can have character or develop character is to follow the golden rule. The Bible puts it, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The Message version of the Bible says it this way. I like, here is a simple rule of thumb guide for behavior. Ask yourself what you want people to do for you, then grab the initiative and do it for them. Following the golden rule is a wonderful character builder. It prompts you to focus on other people. It leads us to be empathetic. It encourages you to take the high road. And if you stick to it, especially when it's difficult, you can't help but become the kind of person other people want to be around. After all, in the end, all of our relationships are either pluses or minuses in the lives of others. The golden rule helps us to remain a plus or to become a plus and stay that way. So another character value that's very important is humility. I will value humility above all virtues. Playwright and author J.M. Barrie observed, the life of every man is a diary in which he means to write one story and writes another. And his humblest hour is when he compares the volume as it is with what he hoped to make it. I think anyone who is honest with himself realizes that he falls short of where he could be and should be in his life. This is I love this part here. Unlike what Tom Hanks says as Forrest Gump, life is not like a box of chocolates. It's more like a jar of jalapenos. What you do today might burn your butts tomorrow. That's so true. We don't intend to make mistakes and to fall short, but we do. We're all just one step away from stupid. Author pastor Andy Stanley says, I've concluded that while nobody plans to mess up their life, the problem is that a few of us plan not to, and that goes back to what I showed you with my pie charts and comparing my 2019 and 2020. Like I said, on the right side of the 2020, I planned out my day and how to structure my time and schedule and chart out on my pie chart what percentage of time I want to spend doing the things that are important to me and my core values in my profession as a chaplain and my core value of family, of freedom, and part of freedom is and taking care of myself, enjoying life, but also serving in the military as part of my value of freedom, but also freedom to make my own choices, and faith, and that's spending time with God, spending time with family, and my spouse and I started doing something we've done before, and we've been consistent so far, so I'm proud to say that, as we started reading the Bible together at night, and it goes back to wanting to change my 2020 and being proactive in planning my life instead of letting life happen to me, planning my life. And so we turn off the TV in the evenings and read the Bible together. So that's been great. And I'll be able to share some wisdom I pull from there on my next show. Because when we do our reading, I read through the John Maxwell Leadership Bible, and the Bible is a great Bible if you're looking to get a new Bible for the new year. I would highly recommend it. Each chapter has about something about leadership in the Bible, so it's a great resource. You can't go wrong just pulling wisdom from the Bible anyway, but on top of that, you get some great leadership principles as well. So that was about the golden rule and about how to be a plus in other people's lives. So how do we do that? We have to be teachable. We have to be willing to serve others. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I do this show. I don't make any money doing this show, and I do it out of labor of love. And so I want to be of service to you and hope that you get something out of this show. I have fun and try to put myself into it with my corny jokes. And I know some of you don't like them or roll your eyes or say, oh, Lord, or oh, Joe, or oh, Chappie, stop doing that. But if you know me long enough, you know that I'm a unique character, and the biggest amount of freedom and biggest amount of impact is being yourself. So I want to encourage you with that, especially to be who you are. Don't allow anybody else or your own negative self-talk to discourage you from being who you are. As long as you're not hurting somebody else and you're following the path that God has you on, then you need to embrace who you are and the fact that you're created uniquely to be who you are and do the things that God's put on your heart and embrace that. So I highly encourage you to do that. The other way to do that is to be grateful. So I know you've seen this before on social media, a gratitude challenge. So I'm not going to issue a challenge to you, but I do encourage you to take some time each day to reflect and to write down some things you're thankful for, whether that's in your own life or other people around you, what you're thankful for. Let's see, and I like this Chinese proverb I found too about gratitude. It says, those who drink the water must remember those who dug the well. And so the whole point of that Chinese proverb is basically to drive home and to remind us that no matter what we've accomplished in our life, if we really are honest with ourselves, we didn't get there on our own. And we don't usually accomplish anything on our own or our own effort. Sometimes we do, depending on what that is. But generally speaking, we get to accomplish great things when we work as a team, whether that be your spouse or your coworkers or working as a team. Myself in the Army as a chaplain, I can tell you that every mission I've been on that was successful wasn't because of my own ideas or my own efforts, but the work of a team. I have a chaplain assistant, or what we call now a religious affairs specialist, that is always assigned to a chaplain, and I couldn't do my job without the great 56 mics I've had in my Army career. They've made my job easy and allowed me to focus on what I'm supposed to do as they do their part of the teamwork. And teamwork makes the dream work is so true in my experience. So I hope that you guys can get a chance to experience that in your lives. Let's see. Okay. And finally, the idea of the stronger your character is, the greater your growth potential. So if you work on the inside, your outside will become stronger, and your personal growth will be exponentially greater if you work on the inside and work on your character development. So that's what I want to drive home today with the law of the ladder. U.S. Senator Dan Coates says, character cannot be summoned at the moment of crisis if it has been squandered by years of compromise and rationalization. The only testing ground for the heroic is the mundane. The only preparation for that one profound decision which can change a life or even a nation is those hundreds of half-conscious, self-defining, seemingly insignificant decisions made in private. Habit is the daily battleground of character. So I ask you, what are you doing every day to develop the habit of character growth in your life? Are you giving attention to your soul? Are you doing hard or unpleasant things? Especially this week as you're trying to fulfill your fitness goals. Are you practicing the golden rule and putting others ahead of yourself? Your character isn't set. You can improve it, and I challenge you to do that. It's never too late. You can change who you are and your overall potential by becoming a better person. Speaking of never too late, I think that reminds me of a joke I had for you guys. Let's see if I can find it in here. Where was it? The doctor. It says, okay, so the guy went to the doctor and he told him, if you want to live much longer, said the doctor gravely, you'll have to stop smoking. It's too late for that, the man said. The doctor said, it's never too late to stop. So the guy responded back, well, then I have plenty of time left, don't I? So we don't actually, but it's a funny joke. All right. Here's another good one. This may come as a surprise to you not living in Las Vegas, but there are more Catholic churches there than casinos. Not surprisingly, some worshipers at Sunday services will give casino chips rather than cash when the basket is passed around. Since they get chips from so many different casinos, the churches have devised a method to collect the offerings. The churches send all their collected chips to a nearby Franciscan monastery for sorting, and then the chips are taken to the casinos of origin and cashed in. This is done by the chipmunks. Didn't see that one coming, did you? Or maybe you did. All right, what else? Let's see. All right, those New Year's jokes. Let's see. My New Year's resolution is to give up club sandwiches, but I decided, no, just messed that up, sorry. My New Year's resolution is to give up club sandwiches, but I don't think I can give up cold turkey. I was considering losing weight for my New Year's resolution, but I decided not to think less of myself. Okay, this is good. This is part of it's true. I'm always telling my Army buddies the only way I'm able to make my weight is to cut off a limb. So in the Army, we have to make our height and weight, which my little short stature, 5'6", the Army says I'm supposed to be 171, which I literally would have to cut off an arm and a leg probably to make my weight because I'm a short, stocky dude. So I know I'm overweight now, but even when I'm in shape, I'm still 185 when I'm a 29-inch waist. So the scale is just ridiculous if you're short and muscular. So the joke is, in order to finish my 2019 resolution, I will cut off my left leg. That way I'll reach my goal of losing 20 pounds and start off 2020 on the right foot. How much more time do I have? All right. What happened to the Irishman who thought about the evils of drinking in the new year? He gave up thinking. Now, I'm quite the proud Irishman, but I will not give up thinking. I'll just figure out a way to incorporate drinking and thinking. That's what cigars and whiskey are for. My New Year's resolution is to read more. So what did I do? I turned the subtitles on my TV. All right, where else? What else? Let's see here. I said that one. All right, well, that's pretty much the, the gist of my 2020 resolution jokes. So I'd like to hear from you guys. You guys have some better jokes, or tell me, hey, stop telling jokes. They suck, but I'm still not going to keep telling them. But if you have some jokes of your own, I'd be happy to hear from you. More importantly, I'd like to hear from you on what areas I can encourage you on your goals and your plan for how to plan your day in 2020. I'll talk more about this next week and go into more detail. I kind of threw my show together at the last minute today, honestly, because I worked all my hours at the hospital for the whole week and one day yesterday. So I worked a 14-hour day, and kind of tired. My feet are hurting, but wanted to be here today to encourage you guys and to step up again to the challenge of freestyling rap, whatever we want to call that little rap I gave to you at the beginning of the show. And hope you look forward to hearing my show, because I look forward to being here with you guys and encouraging you to have the best badass year you've ever had. So feel free to reach out to me at revgrace.com on my website, or email me at joe@gqradio.com. I'd be happy to hear from your comments and anything I can do to encourage you. I'm working with a mentoring group called Movement 21 with Tuan Nguyen and April Holly and Derek Butts. We're doing a thing called Dominate the Decade. So this week I'm working on writing my chapter. I'm going to be meeting one of my goals this year to become a published author. So the first step is to publish a chapter, and from there I'm going to work on the rest of the year starting my own book, which that'll be my goal this year, to finish the chapter and have that book published, but then begin work on my own freestanding book to start it in 2020 and have it published in 2021. So look forward to news on that. And how much more time do we have? That's all I have for today. I just want to say God bless you guys. I pray for you. And again, I encourage you to send me your prayer requests if you feel like doing that in the email at joe@gqradio.com. I do pray for you guys. Anything specific going on in your life, I'd like to pray for you there. And I pray blessings upon you and your family this year. I look forward to bringing you more good content here at Go With Grace. And you guys have an awesome week. Kill 2020, murder mediocrity, and just knock it out of the park in this new year to be the best that you can be, but most importantly, be who God has called you to be, because God created you with a unique and divine purpose that only you can do. And if you fail to do that, life will not be the same, and other people's lives will miss out by you not being fully who you are and being present in the moment to be available to those that need to hear from you and hear your story. So I'm here to share a little bit of my story to encourage you, and the same is true for you. So God bless you guys. Thanks for listening, and I will see you guys next week.